Alright folks, welcome to another Premodern video. We're going to be playing in the Magic Online Society League. We're going to be playing green-white TerraOath. This is an Oath of Druids deck that I've been very excited about and that I personally think is one of the best decks in the format. So the way that this deck is constructed, we are playing TerraOath and Exalted Angels that we're expecting to get out of ahead of schedule with the card Oath of Druids, one of the strongest cards in the format. And the nice thing about this is that even when we don't draw our Oath, or if we are playing against a matchup where Oath is bad, stuff like Standstill or something like that, we just get to hardcast our dudes. Like both TerraOath and Exalted Angels are very, very castable cards, and they are very strong as well. So what this deck does also is we have a Cataclysm. We're a deck built around the card Cataclysm. We are playing this alongside cards like Sylvan Library and more notably Sphere of Resistance. I am really, really high on this card in the Premodern format right now. I think it actually tackles a lot of problems that a deck like this would otherwise have. Decks like Dreadnought or decks like, combo and control decks usually eat this deck for breakfast because it's kind of challenging to keep up with their card advantage and that kind of stuff. But Fear of Resistance makes them very, very clunky, and it makes our Cataclysm, Wasteland, Rishadan Port game plan that much more effective. So there's also the really cool synergy between Sphere, Cataclysm, and Port, which is you play a Sphere, then your opponent needs to play more lands in order to actually cast their spells. So if you're porting them, then they are playing into your Cataclysm, right? Like they're making your Cataclysm better with every land that you force them to play. Wasteland obviously has a lot of synergy with TerraOath, so does Cataclysm, so does Mox Diamond, which we have over here. Also, when you Cataclysm and you leave yourself with Mox Diamond and a port versus, like one land from your opponent's side, you do feel like you're pretty far ahead. We also have Secluded Steppe and Treat of Village, as well as Treva's Ruin and Ritz's Grove. These are some very nice lands, actually. The layer lands are, in my opinion, pretty underplayed in the format, and they have some nice synergy going on here because you get to float the mana from your land that you have in play. You get to play the Ritz's Grove, you return the land to hand, and you tap the Ritz's Grove for mana, and then you cast your Cataclysm, saving yourself one more land in hand, which is very nice. So besides that, we have the cards that you expect in a green-white deck: Swords to Plowshare, Seal of Cleansing, Enlightened Tutor. I am thinking about cutting Enlightened Tutor number 2 for the 4th copy of Sylvan Library. Library is that good in this deck, so I'm still on 3 right here, but this is one of the things that I'm keeping in mind, trying to find room for Library number 4. This card is absolutely fantastic, and this deck's big weakness is the fact that you have no control over the top of your deck. So both Tutor and Library help a little bit on that regard, but Library turns into card advantage, while Enlightened Tutor is actually card disadvantage. So that's a pretty key difference there. In the sideboard, we have an extra copy of Exalted Angel, which can be pretty good in certain matchups. One Armageddon to complement the LD game plan with Cataclysm. Aura of Silence, Ray of Revelation, 2 copies, and Naturalize are some extra ways to answer artifacts / enchantments. Argivian Find is a new addition to the deck. I'm interested in trying this out to get back our cards that are relevant in whichever matchup we're talking about, be it Oath of Druids, be it Seal of Cleansing, be it Sphere, Library, and even post-board versus Custodian, Suranor, Phyrexian Furnace, Tormod's Crypt. All of these cards are absolutely fantastic in the matchups they are for, and having access to an extra copy if the first one gets answered can be a really, really big deal. Then we have Curse Totem versus creature decks. We have Suranor versus Sly, most notably, and other aggro decks. And finally, Phyrexian Furnace and Tormod's Crypt versus different graveyard strategies as well. We're going to be trying this in the league then, and yeah, very excited about this deck and looking forward to putting some TerraOath into play and swinging for like 10, 12, 15 damage, however much I can muster. That's it. We're going to be playing right now. Alright, here we go. Round number 1, and this hand looks pretty great. Yeah, let's keep this. So we can play Tutor on turn 1 in case we need to go get something, or we can just go for this Oath here, which looks pretty good. So let's play a Plains. Maybe I should have played the Windswept Heath, because it's probably more important to play around Rishadan Port than something else, but we'll see. Solitary Priest. So we're just going to land an Oath here. And it's nice that if my opponent does have an answer to this Oath, we can still Tutor for another one, so... Okay, that's interesting. So this means I get to play a Ritz's Grove here. and I get to use... The thing is, I don't really need to use my mana for anything else, so... Yeah, I don't think... Like, this gives me access to 4 mana next turn if I need it. So, we play our Oath, pass the turn back, and now we can next turn upkeep Enlightened Tutor if my opponent destroys my Oath, and then we still get to go get something else. We can also Cataclysm next turn if we care about doing that, like if my opponent plays like a bunch of threats or whatever. Wayne. Okay, so we're gonna have to upkeep Tutor for another Oath. I'm gonna take 2 here. Oh, True Believer. That actually stops Oath, which is kind of awkward. Am I just casting Cataclysm here? I think so. So if I cast Cataclysm, I kill 2 of my opponent's creatures and destroy 2 of their lands. So I think I just do that. So draw up a land. Treetop Village is not bad at all. So play some lands, play a Rift's Grove. We're going to bounce the Plains. And now we're going to play Mox, Peachy in the Plains, and we're going to cast Cataclysm. So my opponent's going to have to choose what they want to keep here. So we're going to keep Mox, and I guess I'm going to keep the Forest, so that we have access to white. So that we keep the Rift's Grove, I mean. This is bad into Wasteland, but we're going to get God by Wasteland anyway, because I'm playing the Treetop Village next turn, right? So they keep Mom? That's very good for me. Yeah, this is great. All right, awesome. Yeah, I don't think my opponent knows that True Reliever actually stops Oath altogether. They do have the Plains and a Seal of Cleansing. Really hoping my opponent pops it on this Monk's Diamond here. They're gonna save it for another Oath, which makes sense. Do I want to play out this Sphere? I guess I might as well. Like, I already have enough mana to cast everything but Terravor. And by playing out this Sphere, I'm making my opponent's hand a little bit clunkier. Second Mother. So we're just gonna tap here, play a land, and I think I'm just gonna serve with Treetop. I could play a second Sphere, but if I draw a Terravor, I would like to be able to cast it, so just gonna raise here. Opponent gets to block and give protection, so they only take 2, but that's still fine. Let's see what they got here. That's great for me. Perfect, perfect. They go for the Divine Sacrament. Are they gonna start attacking just with 1? I don't think I like that. I think my opponent was supposed to just start racing. So now we're just gonna get an Oath. Put Oath of Druid on top, and then draw Oath. And I think I'm gonna play out this Sphere. I could have also held onto the Sphere there, but I think that it's better to have the Sphere in play. So it makes my opponent's draws a little bit awkward. So now they try to race, which is, I don't think it's gonna go particularly well for them, because Oath is a heck of a card. So we get a Terravor, which is fine. Another Cataclysm. Yeah, let's go with Treetop. Swing for 3, opponent down to 15. And we're looking pretty good here if my opponent can't answer this Oath of Druids, because this Terravor is going to be able to erase this Mother of Runes, and if I find a land, then I can even just Cataclysm for very much lethal. So Oath again, we get another 7/7 Terravor. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna... I guess I don't have to attack with Treetop, so let's swing with Terravor. Opponent can actually block here to trigger Oath if they wanted to. So here they're only going to take 3, they're going to give protection to both mothers. But I couldn't attack with the Treetop because my opponent can just do the same thing, but I double block the Treetop instead, and then they kill my Treetop for no reason, right? So this is much better this way. So they just take 3. I could Cataclysm here, but I'm so far ahead with 2 Terravors and an active Oath that I don't think I have to, and that would potentially open me up to getting cheesed by a Swords to Plowshares. So Tire Priest is not great, and now I get to trigger Oath once again, which is going to give me infinite power. So I think this game is now over. We have, yeah, now these are going to be 10/10 Terravors, which gives me much more than enough lethal. Oh, so Divine Sacrament boosts my Exalted Angel. That's awesome. That is hilarious. All right, game number 2. How do we sideboard? I do like Argivian Find. I think that Oath is going to be the most important card in the matchup, and having access to multiple copies, like redundant copies that is going to be quite powerful. I don't like the Spheres, so these ones are like very easy cuts right there. Cursed Totem is interesting. I think the first copy is potentially alright, but I definitely don't want more than 1. I think I want Ray of Revelations, and I don't want Aura of Silence. I don't think this is an Aura of Silence matchup. 3 mana seems like a lot. The only things I could see are Suran Orb, and that's kind of it. Potentially the Exalted Angel. An extra Angel could be good. I don't care for Armageddon, but Cataclysm is fine. I think Cursed Totem could be interesting, but that only stops Mom. Maybe they have Weather Wayfarer, but without knowing whether they have Wayfarer or not, I don't think I want to bring in the totem. If I see Wayfarer, then I think a one-off totem is worth it, but not otherwise. Now, do I want Surinor is the question. Maybe over Library? I do really like Library though. Like, I don't think my opponent's good at pressuring me, but it's not that good at pressuring me, so I think I can get some decent amount of value from Library. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with this. Game number 2, we have a hand that doesn't do that much. Should I keep this? It plays a Terravore quickly, but if I fall behind, it doesn't really do anything for me. I'm gonna mulligan this. We can do better. This is slightly better. Not like a lot better, but it's slightly better, so I'll keep this. Now the question is whether do we keep Ray or do we keep the Wasteland? I think I'm gonna keep the Wasteland. Yeah, I think so. If my opponent plays a Mom on one, oh, Savannah Alliance. Do I care about Savannah Alliance? I don't think I care about Savannah Alliance, so I'm gonna lead on treetop here. Savannah Alliance is gonna pressure me, but everything's gonna get swept up by this Cataclysm if things go right, so I'd rather save this Source of Plowshares for something that slows me down in a meaningful way. Also, I can just start porting as soon as next turn. True Believer, yeah. That one's much more interesting for me to destroy. That's a fantastic draw. So now we just get to port and then just Cataclysm my opponent next turn. And I'm gonna port the Gemstone Mine because I don't want to get cheesed out by Meddling Mage. So whatever like white stuff my opponent can play, I don't really care about. But Meddling Mage would really be a beating. Opponent floats a white for Tutor. Yeah, this is fine. Tutor for Tormod's Crypt, yes, resolves. This is one of the things that I like about this deck is just, this card is not good. This card is not good at all against me, but it's something that, you know, people kind of feel compelled to bring in. And like my opponent just 2-for-1 themselves to put a Tormod's Crypt in play, which doesn't really do anything. So now what I can do is I can just play a Mox Diamond and... oh, this is great. So I can Wasteland this and play Mox Diamond, pitching Plains to hold up Treetop activation. Or I can play Sylvan Library. I think I actually care about playing Sylvan Library better. So let's go Wasteland, the Travis Ruins. This also plays around Disenchant. And no, actually I'm just going to play Mox and I'm just gonna pitch the Plains and just hold Treetop back to block. Although that does punish me if my opponent has... yeah, that actually does punish me if my opponent has Source to Plowshares. So I'm just gonna do this. We know my opponent's got Gemstone. Now I think I Source to Plowshares a True Believer. No, I gotta play around Meddling Mage here. I have to play around Meddling Mage there. Okay, so now we have Library. Let's see what we can find of Library. Another Cataclysm. Yeah, okay. So let's go Plains on top, Cataclysm on top. We're going to play Travis, and I think that we're going to return port and we're gonna leave Treetop in play. So float some mana, bounce with Shatterport, Cataclysm, keep Library, Mox, and Treetop. Opponent's gonna keep Plains and the True Believer, I imagine. Shift the turn back. Now we're gonna go down to 8, but we can Plowshares this True Believer. Draw another Cataclysm. And Terravore. Yeah, that's a winner. Okay, so put that on top, put Cataclysm on top, play port, and here's a big boy. My opponent can make it into a 2-2, but like it doesn't kill it, right? This is why Tormod's Crypt is just not good enough in my opinion. Source of Plowshares. Yeah, that's fine. That's a couple of cards that I get to draw with Sylvan Library. They drew a land. Meddling Mage. There you go. That's a card I was a little bit scared of. But what do they even name? They name Source of Plowshares? Okay, so now they cannot get past my Treetop Village. They're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. Let's see what we find of Library. A Shuffle. Okay, kind of like a Shuffle. So I do pay for Cataclysm though. So play a land and ship the turn back. Now, unless they draw specifically Wasteland, we're gonna be in pretty good shape. Because now my opponent does not have attacks. Oh, yeah, hell yeah, I'm blocking that. Unlock my Source to Plowshares. Sounds good. Source to Plowshares my Treetop, yeah. So now we fetch for a Plains, and we Source to Plowshares the True Believer. And now we're going to untap with a Library and a fresh Library and an empty board. Oh, never mind. We're gonna have a Terravore actually. So put the Exile on top, and I'm gonna pay 4 for that. And here's a Terravore. Once again, my opponent can turn it into a 2-2 if they want. I'm okay with that. And this is the turn where they have to do something really meaningful. Meddling Mage, yeah. I would have been afraid of the Solitary Priest whatever guy, but Meddling Mage is not so scary. Naming Oath of Druids. Okay, Terravore's a 2-2. There was no need to do that there, by the way. So we're gonna get a nice little clean shuffle here. Love that. So pass the turn back, and I'm gonna tap the plains on their upkeep. Port you. They can't. Oh no, my opponent did not see the Windswept Heath in play. I don't think they saw it. I mean, I don't think this really changes too much. Like this only just allows me to start attacking. That's the only thing. Oh, they have Waxwane. Okay, all right. That's a way to do that. Okay, so we trade both of them, and now we have double port going. Whew. Fantastic. Yeah. So actually, maybe Terravor plus port is better than double port. So now they can't play a shadow creature, and we can start clocking with Terravor. Man, library is just such a fantastic card in this deck. This is why I always say that I'm closer to playing 4 libraries than playing 2. It's such an incredible card. Like it just does so much for the deck. When a deck like this has access to card selection and actual potential card advantage too. This is what this deck is missing, and library provides that in the best possible way, in a tutorable way. Okay, we got a Mox. Mox does grow. Interesting. So I do think I put, because this actually takes a turn off the clock, but do I just Cataclysm? I think I just Cataclysm and I just continue porting my opponent. So I just do this and I just keep up double port. Yeah, that's actually much better. So let's do play Cataclysm. Oh no, I messed it up. Okay, whatever. No, it's fine. So keeping one of each, because I can still use the Mox Diamond, or I guess I'd rather have another land. This is just a two-turn clock, and I can just upkeep tap my opponent. Yeah, I think I'd rather have another land than the Mox. So yeah, this is fine. So swing for 10, upkeep, tap my opponent. And my opponent's between a rock and a hard place here, right? Like if they had actually had the Source of Plowshares to stop my Terravor, I would have still been able to, like, I'm still gaining 10. So that is a bunch of cards of the library. I know I have an Oath on top of my deck, so we are just too far ahead at this point. That Waxwane almost got me. Like I was actually pretty lucky that, I mean, I don't think it would have actually changed the outcome of the game because I was, you know, I had library going and I would have drawn another Terravor, but it definitely made things a lot closer there. I got a little bit lucky that my opponent's Gemstone Mine destroyed itself, making my Terravor into a 4/4. That was pretty hilarious. All right, see you in the next round. Round number 2. Here we go. Another great hand. Let's keep this. So we actually get to pick our poison here. This is great. We're also on the draw. I think I'm just gonna play out the Secluded Step, or we can just play Brushland and cycle the Secluded Step. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that. I kind of want to save this Windswept Heath, but I definitely want to get a double green before I get double white, so I think cycling here is probably better. Basic Swamp. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual, okay. Well, now I'm scared. They take the Oath. What, Hippie? Rotlung Reanimator. Okay, so this is zombies. Oh no, this is Clerics. Alright, yeah, this deck is kind of sick. So we're gonna be facing a big dude now. Mox Diamond is interesting. This actually gives me some flexibility. Oh, that's a good one. What to do here? Opponent's out of gas. I think I want to play out the library here. So I'm assuming my opponent's gonna get one of the big dudes coming up next turn. So they're gonna sacrifice 3 Clerics, and that's going to make some zombies with Rotlung. Or not. They just don't have another zombie. Wow, they just don't have another zombie. Well, that's very good for me. Okay, so upkeep. I guess we get to draw first. So we get to draw first, see what we find. Terravor. So now we're going to tutor. That's not great, actually. We're gonna get an Oath, and we're gonna say yes. Ugh, that's so bad. Wow, we really whiffed there. So we're gonna put Terravor first, and then the Exalted Angel. We're not gonna get to play our Oath this turn. Oh, I messed that up. I needed to keep the Oath on top of my deck. Whoops. Whoa, I really misplayed this turn. I kind of got ahead of myself. So I needed to draw the Terravor, then put back the Angel, and then the Oath on top of it. I forgot that I don't have a land to pitch to the Mox Diamond, so I messed that up pretty badly, actually. Maybe the correct play was just to do nothing, and just to upkeep the tutor before doing anything. Okay, there's a Swamp, Cabal Therapy. So now they're gonna get to discard. Oh, they know about the Oath. Yeah, I messed this up really badly, actually. Yeah, I should have hit the Oath. Pretty lucky there that we dodged my opponent drawing another Cleric. And they can't really flashback Therapy, because if they do, they're not going to have 3 Clerics to sack to the Dark Supplicant. And it kind of feels like this is their best bet right now. I really need to find a land. And I know that the top 2 cards from my deck are just awful. Okay, so they sack the Supplicant, which means they're very much in their Rotlung plan now. Are they gonna take Mox Diamond here? Or they can take Terravor too. Yeah, okay. So we know we have another Terravor, so that's not that big of a problem. The problem is that we don't have lands. Man, I play this turn so badly. No land. I guess I'm gonna pay 4. If I pay 4, I go to 7, then gets hit. Yeah, but then I may need to. Yeah, I actually can't pay. Because if my opponent plays any threat, then I'm dead. So I need to find exactly a land off the top next turn. Gross. So put that on top, put that on top. Ugh. Yeah, I kind of threw this game pretty badly. It's okay. I still think that we probably have a pretty good matchup, but certainly played this one pretty badly. So take 4 down to 7. Let's see if we can play our Terravor. Okay, there's a land. So I guess we can morph the Angel. Play Mox, pitch Wasteland, cast Morph. This can allow me to start gaining life and racing back. If my opponent attempts to attack, I think I block the zombie token. Dark Red, another. Okay, that's brutal. That is super devastating. So that allows my opponent to race me exactly. Yeah, okay. So now because they can just sack their dudes to just dome me with the Starlit Sanctum. Man, I played that game very poorly. It's okay. Okay, so Suranor, I like 1 copy. Curse Totem is interesting. I don't think I'm into that. Cataclysm, I'm also not too much into because my opponent gets a bunch of stuff, but I guess I'm more into Cataclysm than Sphere of Resistance. Curse Totem is interesting. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess Curse Totem is reasonable enough. So let's bring in Suranor. I guess Argivian Find. I do like Library, do like Oath, Terravor. Maybe just the 1 of Seal. Yeah, this looks fine to me. I don't think I care for Ray of Revelation. They may have stuff like Bad Moon or something like that, but that's about it. Okay, so we have an Oath. Yeah, I like this hand. Let's keep this. We also have Plow. This hand does a lot of what I'm interested in doing in this matchup. The question now of whether I cycle... I think I do cycle Step, because the other alternative would be to just play it out this turn. Here's hoping my opponent does not have another Double Dark Ritual start. Duress. So there goes the Oath. We do have Argivian Find, so... unsurprisingly, the Oath gets taken. We're going to cycle and pass the turn back. So let's play a plane. So we're going to play out this Curse Totem. So my opponent's going to have no answer to this, so there's no reason for me to play a second copy here. And now that I think about it, my opponent has a lot of activated abilities. They have the dude that sacks stuff. They have, what's the name of it? The Exile guy, the Withered Wretch. So yeah, Curse Totem is definitely worth it. They have a 3-mana 2/2 that for a black you sack and you get your stuff. Play out Suranor, play a fetch land and ship the turn back. I'm not going to crack this fetch in because I may find a Sylvan Library, and if I do, I definitely want to make sure that I can get value from that. Priest of Gix and Cabal Archon. Yeah, this is the guy that I was talking about. So we do have a healthy amount of good draws here. Treetop is kind of nice. I'm probably going to plow this Cabal Archon here, and I don't think I can take that much damage, so I'm just going to use my Swords to Plowshares here. Also, my opponent knows about it, so certainly loses some of its value. There's definitely an argument for waiting until my opponent plays a Rotlung Reanimator, so because we know that this Cursed Totem is not going to go anywhere. Another Priest of Gix. That must have been their draw, because they would have just played it last turn otherwise. Cycle and Earth. Huh, interesting that Planar Void works for both graveyards. I thought that it only worked for one. Okay, play out Trevis, bounce, planes, ship the turn back. Funnily enough, I cannot tap this Treetop for mana after I have activated it because of the Cursed Totem. The numbos are real. Dark Supplicant is just a 1-mana 1/1. So unless they have Smother or something like that, ugh, that sucks. So that means they have some sort of removal. Maybe Snuff Out, Diabolic Edict, yeah, Smother. So I'm just gonna gain 2 with the Suranor. On the other hand, that's a Smother that does not kill one of my Terravors, so that's nice. Although my Terravors are 1/1s, they're not very good. Seal of Cleansing. Okay, I guess that does do something at least. So now my Terravors are gonna be big boys. Oath is probably my best draw. Then Terravor. Then Angel. Angel would be kind of sick too. Library, we may not have enough time for at this point. Cataclysm would also be pretty... No, actually Cataclysm would suck. They just get a bunch of zombies. So take 5. Can I draw something gassy? That counts. Play my land because I have Suranor and I expect to use this Suranor probably these coming turns. So we're gonna take 7 here down to 3 with a Wretch. If they have a second Planar Void, that would suck for me. So take 7, end step, blow up the Planar Void. Now we get our Oath trigger. Maybe they have another removal spell. That would suck, but Angel. Okay, so now my opponent's attacks are gonna get a lot worse. Don't have removal, please. Snuff out. Eradicate. Exile target no black creature, searches controller's graveyard and hand library for all cards with the same name. Wow. Alright. That's not a card I had seen before. That's sick. Wow. Okay, so I'm out of Angels now? That's kind of insane. Alright. Alright. So now I'm dead. They're just gonna be... I guess I need to draw... No, there's nothing I can draw anymore. Because I need to stay alive. So I suck a land. Suck another land. I'm taking 9. Yeah, I'm just dead now. Wow. Eradicate. Wow. Really impressive. I guess I need to draw, what, Swords to Plowshares? That's brutal. Wow. Okay. We have a 1919 Terravor, but nothing to do with it. Because we're just gonna die on the crackback, right? So we go up to... Wait a second. So I block the Rotlung, I take 7? So my opponent needs to have another removal spell, otherwise they die on the crackback. They have it. Dude. Because I would have been able to block the Rotlung and then sack all of my lands, and then I go to exactly 1, and finally I hope that I mill enough remaining lands with Oath of Druids to kill them on the crackback. Wow, that was a very, very impressive showing by the Clerics deck. Like this deck that top-8'd the Spanish Nationals, and that looked actually very, very impressive. So colored me impressed. See you for the next round. Round number 3, let's see what we got here. Ugh, yeah, we're gonna ship this one. One lander with the Lair land is pretty rough. This hand is spectacular, however. So what are we doing with this one? So we can turn 1 the Oath, or we can turn 1 the Sphere. Or we can just pass... I think I want to just bottom the Mox Diamond, actually. Yeah, let's do that. So let's bottom the Mox Diamond. Turn 1... I think I just Treetop. Yeah, I think I just play Treetop. Pass the turn back. And now we get to turn 2 play the Mox plus Sphere. Oh, Wasteland. It's kind of annoying. Play Mox, and we're gonna play Sphere of Resistance. No idea what Fair is playing over there. We'll figure it out soon enough. Treetop Village. Alright, pass the turn back. I don't want to show the Oath just yet. Are we playing a mirror here? I think we're playing a mirror match. Yep, looks like we're playing a mirror match. There's a brush and pass the turn back. I've never actually played a mirror match, but the fact that I drew a Sphere puts me at a pretty big disadvantage. Library. Okay. So I think we're just gonna play Terravor here. Port is nice, but I'm kind of behind here, so I feel like I need to start pressuring. It's pretty bad if Fair has access to his own Terravor, but not much I can do there. Or if he has access to Oath. Drawing my own port is definitely pretty nice. Also, he could be playing the mono green version. Okay, so he's actually playing green white. So we're playing the mirror match here, which is okay. Got a Treetop. So do we want to trade the Terravors? I don't think I want to. Well, actually, if we do trade the Terravors, I do get to land this Oath. Yeah, I guess I have to trade. Because if he draws Swords to Plowshares, then he's just so bad for me. Yeah, so we trade there, but I'm gonna play out my Oath, and then I get to tap his Treetop Village on upkeep. So we're out of cards, and my opponent has an active Silver Library. So we are at a pretty big disadvantage. Oath means that he actually cannot play out his own threat if he happens to draw it, unless he also has Swords to Plowshares. Wasteland, woof. Oh, that's super rough. So that actually allows him to Wasteland my Treetop. Actually, it's better to Wasteland my Port and then Port my Treetop. That's brutal. So now he's going to be able to tap my Treetop here, put me in pretty bad spot. Okay, second Treetop is not heinous, but it's also not good either. Second Treetop. Ugh. Oh, this is bad. Yeah, I can't even cast this Cataclysm. I also can't really attack. So he gets to port me once, then port me again. The problem is I can't really attack because if he has Swords to Plowshares, then I don't have a Treetop anymore. So I might as well make his mana awkward. He gets a Shuffle. Man, must be nice. Okay, Treetop coming in. Yeah, I'm gonna activate here and attempt to block. I think he's just gonna let me block here. He can port me, but... Oh, he just has Plow? Oh, that's... Yeah, matchup feels like it really is about drawing the cards that are not terrible, right? And I just happen to draw all of the cards that are terrible. I drew all of the cards that are terrible. So we have Tutor now. Tutor allows me to, I guess, go get my own library, which is not even that good. Seal of Cleansing. Okay. We'll see what he does with that. Yeah, now with the seal in play, I don't think I can really use this Enlightening Tutor for anything. Untap, draw, play a land. I guess I Cataclysm? Am I gonna get any better value? So I cast Cataclysm. I keep Mox and Treetop. He keeps one land, seals my Oath, and then it's his library and a Treetop versus... Yeah, I think it's not getting better for this Cataclysm. I think this is as good as it's gonna get. This allows him to deploy his own threat, but he's not going to be able to. So keep Oath, keep Mox, keep Treetop. And now this is actually pretty good value from this Cataclysm, to be honest. Oh, he's keeping Seal? That probably means that he's got a second library. These Terrorwolves are gonna be big boys. Another land. Yeah, second library, there we go. So I don't think I'm going to tutor here. That's nice though. Yeah, okay, so gonna get a white here, and we're gonna get in there with one Treetop hit. Not horrible, not horrible. So now he's down to 4. He cannot use library anymore for card advantage. And if he deploys a threat, it's gonna be a matter of who gets luckier. The problem is now he can seal the Oath and then deploy the Terrorwolf in the same turn, which means that he's gonna get one hit, and at this point the Terrorwolf may be lethal in a single swing. Haven't done the math, but I don't think that would be crazy. Also, the fact that he had Wasteland there, pretty bad for me. Untap. Yeah, I don't think I'm casting that one. That one's gonna be locking me out real quick. Can't afford to play that one. So at least the good thing here is that he cannot really play a threat without popping the seal. Huh, he does play his own. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think we can really afford to cycle that one. We really need our mana. What he can do now is he can seal my Mox instead of the Oath, though. We can tutor for our own library. If he doesn't do anything, I think I would tutor for a library. Oh, he's gonna pop seal now, which means that we're gonna tutor for another Oath, and then we're gonna cross our fingers. So if he has an answer to the Oath, we're gonna be in trouble. And if he plays his own Terrorwolf, we're also gonna be in trouble because we're gonna get raised back. He can flip this Angel this turn, but if he does, then we trigger Oath. So that's not a good deal for him. We also have him managing to not draw a single Swords to Plowshares. Honestly, I'm very surprised that we're still in this game, considering how poorly we have drawn. Like, we drew multiple Moxen. Oh no, I guess I bottomed the other Mox, so never mind. But we've drawn like double Sphere of Resistance. We've drawn a Cataclysm, which doesn't really do anything. My opponent drew 4 Wastelands. They're out of Wastelands, literally. Okay, Oath, target you. What do we get? Our own Angel. Okay. So this is gonna be a stalemate now. Do I play a second Oath? I really wanted to flip a Terrorwolf there, I'm not gonna lie. Would have been awesome to flip a Terrorwolf right there. That would have actually given me the upper hand. I think we just have to ship the turn back. This game has actually been quite interesting. On the plus side, my opponent can't actually attack. Oh, okay, this is great. Yeah, I'm gonna block. Now we're gonna gain some life. Oh no, actually he can block, never mind, yeah. Because if I attack, he swings back for 7, which is worse for me. Wasteland, my Secluded Step is interesting. He's not playing around port. So if I attack, burn him down to 6, sorry, and then next turn he swings for 7. But then he continues stacking. Yeah, this is just bad for me. I think I have to just pass the turn, because if I attack, then he attacks back, he stays at 10. So the only thing that this does is I die slowly. But then I also stop my opponent from being able to use library. I think that's probably worth it, actually. So I think I'm supposed to attack because it means that he cannot use library. This means that I'm going to slowly die. So I'm gonna be, I'm gonna have like only a couple of turns that I'm gonna be able to do that, like 4 or 5 turns. But if I just let my opponent be able to draw an extra card every single turn, I think that I'm more likely to lose the game. Cycle, step, port. That's bad. Okay, so now I need to draw Swords to Plowshares so I can plow my own Exalted Angel, funnily enough. That's the play. Swords to Plowshares, my own Exalted Angel, just so I can trigger Oath. How funny is that? Port, huge draw. Massive draw. Spectacular draw. So this means that we're actually even here. And I think that I port his Treetop. This means that now on my upkeep, he's gonna port my port. Mox Diamond, Pitch in a Forest. Angel gets in there. Port my port. Draw. Windswept Heath. Okay. Swinging back with the Angel. So now my opponent is gonna get to gain some... they're gonna get to swing a little bit with Treetop Village. There comes the Treetop. Gonna take 7 down to 12. Man, pretty interesting game, actually. Can I draw Swords to Plowshares or Wasteland? So now we go up to 16, then down to 9. Wasteland would also be great. Wasteland allows me to blow up their port. My opponent has drawn all 4 Wastelands and 3 treetop villages and 2 ports. Takes 7 down to 9. So I guess I can do the attack only 1 more time. 2 more times. Untap. Port my port. Seal of Cleansing. Okay. So this means that I can just blow up the library now, I guess. Or what if I save it up to blow up the sphere? So I pass the turn. And then depending on what my opponent does, I can blow up the sphere and attempt to set up a Cataclysm. Treetop. Is he gonna block then plow? Let's block treetop here. So he can plow and then trample. 2 mana. Oh, yeah, this is great. So I gain 4, takes 7. I could blow out the Mox Diamond, and that stops him from porting, but I don't think that works right here. Alright, Oath target you. See what we get. Port my port. Say yes to Oath. Another angel. Alright. That port was a really good draw though. So now this is becoming really interesting. Where are my Terravores? Man, what an interesting match. Super interesting match. He's gonna not swing. So now I port his port. Now we untap. And I do get to cast this Cataclysm. Another sphere. Man, we have not been drawing well. We have not been drawing particularly well here. So I think I blow up the library and then keep Oath. I don't think I can actually sack the Oath, unfortunately. Internally, I can blow up the seal, force my opponent to keep sphere plus library. They have so much life to work with, though. Like, I'm definitely casting this Cataclysm. The question is, what do we... I mean, I have to blow up the seal before I do. Yeah, I'm gonna blow up the library. Well, if I blow up the Mox... I actually want to blow up the Mox. Let's blow up the Mox and see what happens. Now we Clism. So we're gonna have mana superiority here. He's gonna have card advantage over me. He needs to Swords to Plowshares his own angel here. He figured out. Yeah, he has been drawing, so I keep port, keep this, and I can actually not, I can't choose to not keep Oath or Exalted Angel. And now my own Oath is gonna be my demise. So I have to get lucky, and I need him to flip an angel. If he flips an angel, then I may have a shot. But if he flips a Terravore, then I'm in a situation where I'm just, yeah. 35-35. Alright, I need to find my own Swords to Plowshares now. Which is bad too, right? Like, cause now I'm in a situation where I need to plow his Terravore, and I can't. Yeah, pretty brutal how this match ended up going. You hate to see it. Maybe I'm in a situation where I need to blow up my own thing. I don't know. But obviously, I die, right? Like, this is exactly 1 turn too late to draw the Swords to Plowshares. Exactly 1 turn too late. Yeah, that sucks. Punished by my own Oath of Druids. Yeah, I can't win anymore. Man. Imagine if I had flip, on that second flip of the angel, imagine if I had flipped a Terravore instead of the stupid angel. Well, maybe he can flip an angel here. Okay, we can still play this game, I guess. If he flips an angel here, man, he was a lot luckier than I was with the with the Oath flips. He was luckier than I was. Okay, if I draw another Swords to Plowshares, and then I draw another Swords to Plowshares, then I can actually deck him. New goal. Okay, I failed. But still, this was a very exciting match. Look at how bad Rifton Portal is. This card is so terrible. I strongly recommend people to not put this card in their deck. Yeah, okay. I'm dead now. That was a very interesting game. Super interesting game. Okay, so we want Argivian Fine and Furnace. We don't want Spheres. We want Aura of Silence, Raise, and Neutralize. And I think I want to cut a Mox. Let's cut 2 Oath. Leave myself with the possibility of tutoring for Oath if I need it. If it ends up being an Oath deck, an Oath game. And then cut Cataclysm for Exalted Angel. I don't think Tormod's Crypt is particularly good. And I don't think any of my other cards really do anything. So I'm gonna go with this. Man, that Oath really punished me there. It really destroyed me. My own Oath. Brutal. Okay, so I messed it up, and I did not record matches 2 and 3, games 2 and 3, so here I chose to be on the draw, and I keep what is an interesting hand, but I actually get punished by being on the draw because it makes things so awkward. Like, he managed to go turn 1 Mox into library, and I just had to pitch my treetop to actually cast my library with the Mox. It also allows him to get an activation of library before I do. So I learned after playing this match that I think that being on the draw We're also going to see that on game 3. Being on the draw is not the way to go. So my thought process of I'd rather have the extra card than react to what my opponent is doing, it's not good. Like, you want to choose to be on the play. So he actually draws 3 with library here, finds the seal, blows up my library, and I'm super far behind. I do find the seal, so I do get to like a little bit closer to parity, but he's up 2 cards on me. So yeah, I definitely just hit myself for no reason. He plays a seal and trades with my Mox, which is kind of rough because he also has the board going, but I do find a land there. It being a basic, of course, very, very good in the face of that wasteland. But here, we actually get to play a very he kept a very reactive hand, and I get to feed off of that, right? Here, I do not play the port because it just plays into my opponent's wasteland, and I may want to play a 2-drop. And if I draw a library, for example, off the top, then I want to make sure that I can fetch and then play port instead of just throwing the port into the wasteland, right? Here I do draw the brushland. I decide to play it out because if my opponent wastes my brushland, then they're not wasting my port that I already have in hand. So he decides to go for that, which I think it's great for me. I do draw the Terravor, and now we are the ones playing the port game, which is nice. So I port their Roshannon port. There they tapped advantage mana. I don't know if they were thinking about Cataclysm, but obviously it would have been really bad. So good for them that they didn't. I do top the library, which is obviously fantastic. And here is when the game starts to like get back in my favor. When I just, my opponent's got double port going, but now I have an activated library. So I do see another library that I'm going to, usually what I like to do in a spot like this, while I have an active library, I like to not draw a second library, but always keep it on top in case my library gets answered. And we're actually going to see that right now. He cashes in a naturalize, and I do get to draw the library off the top. But at this point, because he can only tap one thing and he does not tap my green source, I actually decide to cast a Terravor instead into a potential source of Blouchers, but that's fine. Because if he starts porting my land, then I'm in a situation where I cannot cast the Terravor. So here we do get a little bit punished by the Aura of Silence, because I cannot actually deploy the library. But I do draw an Exalted Angel, which is pretty nice because it allows me to put something into play. And I don't think that I can afford to play around Oath. And worst case scenario, I can plow my own Exalted Angel, and we can go from there. There, I obviously draw a Terravor, and like that's obviously like a fantastic top deck. And with him, spending his ports to tap my own ports, that actually allows me to have colored mana, which is great. And he just packs it in because I'm super far ahead at this point, and my Terravor is just lethal. So we do win this game. Even though I made the mistake of being on the draw, which I thought would be good because I can, be reactive to what he does first. But turns out that if you don't have the actual reactive card in hand, it's a lot worse to be on the draw. So I think that in the future, I'm always going to choose to be on the play in this mirror match. And now I learned, that's why we do this, right? Then we go on to game number 3, where I keep it, what I think is a pretty strong hand. He's on the play, he plays treetop. I draw a wasteland, but I still decide to go for treetop here. Here we do some exchanges here, and it's really funny. We just played the actual mirror, right? Exactly the same thing. But yeah, he decides to wasteland my treetop, and after that I say, okay, like whatever, I'm just going to spend my time just putting a treetop in play. And I blew up his own treetop as well. And now we are back to parity, but he has a port. He does port my land here, and I play my port because this threatens to play the port game. He does have an angel though, and this actually throws a wrench in my game plan, so it forces me to play my own angel instead, so that I can attempt to race back and like go back to parity. My hope was that he was going to port me again, I get to play a library, and then I just get to pull ahead. But the fact that he just switched gears there, and this is the strength of port, right? Imagine if it had been a wasteland and my opponent had wasteland my port on the previous turn, and now they're down a land and they actually cannot deploy their angel, and they cannot pivot like this. So port allows you to do these things where you are delaying the game plan, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're back in the driver's seat and you're back being the aggressor. So port allows you to do that. Wasteland does not. Wasteland only is better really when you're already ahead. And then you can prevent your opponent from catching up. At that point, as long as your opponent plays non-basics, then Wasteland is going to be better. But in order to play this kind of game, like in order to dictate the pace of the game, Port does a much better work in that situation. So here I deploy my own angel, and it's kind of awkward because he's going to get to flip it before I do. So that means that he's going to get to connect, and he gets to get in there. And now I make a pivotal mistake, which ends up costing me the game, which is I hope to like block. But then after thinking about it, it's much, much better for me to flip the Angel and swing, because what could happen is if my opponent has Swords to Plowshares, I am literally playing into this, whereas if I attack, I'm not really playing into this because I gained my life already. So my opponent gets to use their Swords to Plowshares, they get rid of my Angel, but I am losing 4 life in the process, which is something that ends up costing me the game in the end. So here he does swing, I do flip, he before blockers Swords to Plowshares my Angel, and I do take damage and I don't gain life. Then he wastelands me, and then he continues playing the port game. Here this turn it was pretty interesting. Like I could have wastelanded his port, but instead I decide to go for and kind of awkward, like this is one of the punishes of the Treva's Ruins here, because it forces me to play the Treva since it's the only untapped green source that I have access to, and I want to spend this turn deploying the library. So like that's actually pretty rough, and it sets me back a land drop, which is brutal, but I do get to deploy the library without being able to use board, but that's fine. So here he uses Exalted Angel and does something very interesting. He decides to play the Morph and port me as opposed to just playing it as a 6-drop, and this also ends up being very good for him because now he forces my action and I do get to, destroy there. I do draw an Enlightening Tutor, port, redundant port, and a Wasteland. And I'm in a situation where I cannot pay life for either of those because I know my opponent's going to be flipping his Angel next turn. And I want to set up Cataclysm plus top deck Swords to Plowshares. But I can't really do that, so my hope is to cast Enlightening Tutor on his end step for Mox Diamond, and then on the top 2 cards find a Swords to Plowshares. And obviously I cannot do that because I'm going to be taking 4 unless he decides to not play around Swords to Plowshares, which I honestly think it's correct. Like, I'm representing Swords here, but he doesn't respect it because it's so much better for him to not do that. So he does flip the Angel, and I do tutor for Mox, and then I untap, and I'm in a situation where I draw, and I do find the Swords to Plowshares, but because of the attack that I missed earlier, I actually don't have enough life to pay for library to draw both the Mox and the Swords to Plowshares, and I end up losing this game in this way. While otherwise I would have been able to stabilize by casting Cataclysm and forcing my opponent to keep 1 land, 1 Angel, and then actually wasting or plowing, the Exalted Angel to fully stabilize with 1 land, a Mox, and then an active library with 2 cards in hand, by the way. So I think I would have been able to stabilize from there. But ended up getting punished by that error in judgment. And this is always something very interesting, right? Like the fact that how Exalted Angel works, like how good it is at like helping you stabilize, and like how interesting it is that they bounce off of each other. This is something that I have found multiple times already, is that it's very interesting and very important to make sure that you are understanding how this works, which I failed to do here, but making sure that you're maximizing. We saw it in game 1 as well, where we had like the treetop plus Angel versus what I was doing like with my own Angel, which I couldn't really attack, right? But being able to attack and just keeping the life total as opposed to like getting blown out by a Swords to Plowshares, like all of these things you need to figure out what you can and what you cannot play around and then make that work. But like I failed to maximize my Angel equity in this match and ended up losing because of it. So very, very important. Also, I learned to be on the play in this matchup because being on the draw is not as good. But pretty good, pretty important learning moment for me. So that's cool. Hopefully you enjoy that, and I'll see you for the next round. Okay, round number 4. Man, this is a really disruptive hand. I kind of like it. Let's keep this. The question now is, do I play Mox Diamond on 1 or not? Because this is my only green source. That's actually very interesting. I think I'm just not going to do that. Just going to play the basic plains and just ship the turn back. We may get punished if my opponent has the rest or something like that, but Treetop Village. Okay, so we're going to cycle here. Sphere of Resistance. Well, this is very nice. So, Wasteland your Treetop. Play Mox Diamond, pitch in Port, and play Sphere. Has the turn back. And now we start to develop thanks to Rishadan Port. So, pass the turn, port my opponent's Treetop. Following turn, we get to either Wasteland, or we can just morph an Exalted Angel. Interesting. Guess I can do both. I think I want to... If I play a morphed Angel, my opponent can Vendetta. but then I get to start clocking, so I think I'm going to do that. It also protects my Oath of Druids. So my opponent needs to cast exactly a removal spell this turn, and if they don't, then I just get to Wasteland or Treetop, and then kind of go from there with a flipped Exalted Angel. Yeah, so they did have the Smother. Kind of rough, but it's okay. And here, I'm going to Wasteland the green source, and I think I tap their land on upkeep. Maybe I should have deployed the Oath to play around the Duress. Yeah, punished Oak Above Therapy. Okay, they may actually whiff this. So as of right now, I'm not sure whether this is the just normal, just regular the rock, or whether this is the what's the name of the Gamekeeper deck. So now that my opponent knows about the Oath, I'm gonna play it out because they're gonna be able to just like duress it or whatever. So pass the turn, port their Swamp. They cycle More, which is interesting, honestly. So they missed the land drop? That doesn't make sense. Okay. So they cycle More, but then missed the land drop. It's very interesting. I guess they really want to find the green source. We're not doing great. I already have Cataclysm mana, so I don't really want to play another land out. So we're just going to continue doing this. And if my opponent goes to discard here, that's probably going to give us a pretty good amount of information. Source to Plowshares the draw. Not looking great here. Okay, they did find their green source, finally. They do not have access to Pernicious Deed mana quite yet, however. Oh, come on. Really? This is very unlucky. So we actually do not have any more fetchables. This is very rough. Very, very rough. Opponent cycles Crows and Tarkus. So this is just regular the rock. Man, this has been brutal. Our draws could not have been any worse. We literally had the worst possible draws. Opponent naturalizes the Oath. Alright. Which is very interesting, honestly, because they could have just played the basic force that they tutored for and just not take damage there. But Cabal Therapy, they don't have any information, so once again they name Cataclysm. If I do draw a Cataclysm here, though, that would be great. Seal of Cleansing. Yeah, I guess I'm not actually going to play that out, so continue porting the green source. Not much to do here, unfortunately. If my opponent does play a Deed, I guess there's a question of whether I wanted to pop it. Okay, now they duress it, so nothing to do there. Wall of Blossoms. So now that they do have perfect information, I'm just going to play out the Seal of Cleansing. And now we draw the library. That's pretty unlucky. Okay, so there we go. And I don't think I want to play the library into a potential Pernicious Deed. Recurring Nightmare. Getting back the Tusker. So 1, 2, 3, play out the library. And ship the turn back. Once again, I'm going to tap the Forest. And this game has not been working out, hasn't it? Tap the Forest, say go. So now if they do find Pernicious Deed and an untapped land, that allows them to blow everything up, which would be a disaster. But it is what it is. Still not dead here, right? I can just draw a TerraOath and then we're actually cooking, right? But yeah, everything that could have gone poorly did. This game. Everything that could have gone terribly just went exactly as worse as it could have gone. We're not looking great. Oh, okay. There we go. That is something. Get my Forest. Play a TerraOath. I think I upkeep, I guess tap one of the Forest again. There's an argument for having played the Windswept Heath there. But yeah, my opponent just has a removal spell. I don't think that this is going to work out well for me. Tusker gets in there for 6. That's a 2-turn clock. I can technically draw another... Oh, now they get to start looping Wall of Blossoms. Yeah, okay. I think I've seen enough here. Okay, so I like Argivian Finds. I like Aura of Silence and Geddon, and I definitely like Exalted Angel. What do I not like? The Spheres. Spheres are just permanents. They don't really do anything for me. I'm going to cut the Seal of Cleansings, and I guess I can get Phyrexian Furnace instead, which just cycles, which is nice. Is there any enchantments that I'm scared of that I may want to have Revelation for? I don't think so. We have the one of Aura, which does interact somewhat favorably with them casting Pernicious Seed, so I think this is fine. I don't love the Mox Diamond, though. I would like to cut a second copy, but I don't think that any of the other Cyber cards really do anything at all, so I don't think I want those other cards. Gonna be on the play here, and this draw seems fine. Let's keep it. We can go turn 1, probably Furnace, and then ship the turn back. We can play Library on turn 2. We can also just port, so we are going to get some library value here, unless my opponent has Naturalize, which they need to play right now. And they do have. And activate Furnace, ship the turn back. And, I think I'm just playing a Morph here. It's really bad into Pernicious Deed, though. Alternatively, I can port the Swamp, cycling Secluded Step. Yeah, let's do that. Gonna port the Swamp, and I'm gonna cycle the Secluded Step on end step. Sure, they cycled Byron more. Play Treetop. Okay, alternatively, I guess I could just tutor for another library, but I don't think I want to do that, at least not with this. I can just cycle, Secluded Step, see what I draw, because I may find Argivian Find or something, and that gives me like some flexibility. Untap, Wasteland. Yeah, sure. I guess I can just play the Morph and Wasteland the Treetop. I'm not sure whether I want to exile the Treetop with the Furnace, or whether I want to hold it as a way to grow my Terravores. Smother. It's not great. My opponent has had every single answer. Another port is nice, so ship the turn back. We're going to upkeep the Swamp and the Treetop. Opponent has the Swamp. Wall of Blossoms. I think we draw... It's kind of nice. Okay, so we're going to Wasteland another Treetop, and we're going to double port the Black Sources. Okay, another Wall of Blossoms. Okay, so the question now is, do I want to draw with Furnace? A Cataclysm here is interesting, but I think I'm just going to Oath and just... I guess I play out the... No, I don't play out the Brushland. Yeah, so let's just port Green Source, I guess. There's the Naturalize. They play out the Deed. We could Clism now. If we Clism now, that means we get to destroy a wall and 3 lands, and then we get to untap and tutor for another Oath, which is kind of interesting, actually. This feels like a very pivotal turn here. Yeah, I think that's the play. I think we're going to Cataclysm now, keeping the port and the Furnace, and then just play out the Brushland and ship the turn back. So I'm probably going to draw with this Furnace. Opponent's got another Swamp. Rough, but it's okay. So I'm gonna tag the Wall of Blossoms, draw an Aura of Silence, draw another Cataclysm. Brutal. Okay. Let's tap this Swamp, and I kind of wish that I had access to one more land here. We only found what, like 6 lands this game. I do need to... Okay, so I'm gonna need to pop this Deed before I do anything else. So let's go float a white, bounce Brushland, play Aura. And I think I pass the turn back. This prevents my opponent from being able to play another Deed here. Also prevents Recurrent Nightmare from being a thing. Oh, they found the Green Source. So let's pop the Deed now. And then I guess I upkeep tutor for Oath. Kind of doesn't matter, like they actually have, they either have it or they don't. So it's either I tutor for Oath or I tutor for Library. And if they have another Naturalize or land into Deed, then I'm gonna be screwed. Oh, like, no, and then I think about it, Library would have been better because Oath also gets hosted by Cabal Therapy. So should have not done that. On the plus side, if this works, I kind of just win the game. So, you know, there's upsides and downsides. Opponent plays the Deed. Do they have the land? They don't. They just Vendetta their own thing. That's funny. Sounds good. So I'm just going to, I guess, ship the turn back and port them. So now they're gonna get to pop the Oath, which is not great for me, but guess it could be worse. Yeah, we're not drawing great. Yeah, so definitely getting Library would have been significantly better by a lot, kind of. Okay, do they have Cabal Therapy? That's a pretty big blunder for my opponent. Now I just get to trigger an Oath. Yeah, Angel, please. Fantastic. So we did get an Angel. Now I get to, I guess I just Cataclysm here. I just Cataclysm and I live myself with a Rith's Grove or Rishadan Port. I think I'm going to live myself with Rith's Grove. So, yeah, that was a pretty big mistake from my opponent. So we destroy 3 lands and we have an active Oath. So if they Vendetta, they cannot deal with the Oath. Cabal Therapy. Yeah, that's fine. We just pack it in. Okay, that's cool, that's cool. We would have drawn the port, that's sick. Okay, so... that worked out. Do I want Ray of Revelation? I kind of think that I do want it. Just having access to Deed, like being able to pop Deeds at my own time feels kind of valuable. So let's leave in 1 Ray over the 3rd copy of Mox Diamond. And I kind of want to cut a tutor as well, but I guess it's fine. Let's just keep the tutor. I do not love the card disadvantage in this matchup. Like, this is one of the matchups where the card disadvantage really shows. That was a pretty big mistake from my opponent. Like, they should have popped the Deed just to get rid of the Oath and then try to get their game plan going, but I guess they just forgot. Okay, we are on the draw. This hand looks pretty good. We have Armageddon, we have Oath, Enlightened Tutor. I like this. Unclear whether I'm going to play out these Mox Diamond or not. What Mox allows me to do is to turn 1. Okay, so they have the rest. So I imagine they're going to take either the Oath or the Armageddon, depending on what they have going on. So what playing out the Mox allows me to do is to tutor for library. The problem is that it plays into Pernicious Deed a little bit harder. I guess I'm just going to play out the Plains, ship the turn back. And I'm probably going to tutor for library, I guess. Because if they blow up my library, they don't blow up my... I imagine they have naturalized, but once again, I'm trying to overwhelm their naturalizes a little bit. Maybe I should have played out the Oath, actually. Yeah. I'm going to play it out here. Just so it sits in play and it limits what my opponent can and can't do. Treetop, getting feisty. I accept that. That's very nice. Do I want to play out the Mox here? Because if I do play out the Mox, this actually allows me to play Terravor next turn. No, it does play into Pernicious Deed, so I'm just gonna ship it back. This Terravor is, I imagine, it's gonna do something eventually. Interesting. They want to trade. Okay, I do want to trade. Maybe they have a removal spell. Diabolic Edict. Gonna plow their treetop. So now Terravor is a 1/1. Can make it into a 2/2, but that triggers my opponent's Oath. Is that fine? I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. Because that's going to grow my Terravor, right? Like, if they want to actually trigger Oath, they get a free dude, but, like, I also get a huge dude. Or, never mind. They just get a free Rager. Kind of unlucky. We got no lands out of the deal. Kind of unlucky. Okay. Yeah, this is great. So I guess I can... No, actually, never mind. I want to trade here, because my opponent can just Cabal Therapy their Rager down. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's a good draw. That's a fine top deck. That's an above average top deck, I will say. They Diabolic Edict target me. So keep Mox, keep Oath, keep... I think I'm gonna keep Rushland. No opponent gets to keep a Rager and potential... They keep Treetop. Interesting. So no black mana. I would have imagined they would have kept Llanowar Wastes, but... So they're going to get to swing for 2, and if they don't have a naturalize, this Oath is going to take over. So they need untap land into naturalize exactly. Do they have it? Boo. Boo. Dude, that's devastating. Okay, something. Another Cataclysm is not going to cut it. Don't tell me they also have another untap land so they can swing with Treetop. Okay, they don't. Okay, so we have 4 turns. Secluded Step. Probably have to cycle this. Land. Okay. Ship the turn back. So we can find Terravor. We can find another Oath. We have a bunch of live draws here. I don't think I'm going to fetch because I don't know. Okay, that's a way to not die this turn at least. Opponent found the land. They suit up the Treetop, go for lethal. We are going to... plow the treetop, and we have exactly 1 more turn, so I guess I am going to fetch now. This is gonna find a green source, so I can cast a Terravor if I draw it. Don't have the removal, please. Don't have the removal. Ah, they have it. All right, cool. We lost. Man, that was a match. Super interesting match. That was cool. That was a very, very interesting match. This is a very puzzling matchup to me. Like, I still don't know whether I'm ahead or I'm behind in this matchup. I think I'm slightly behind, but I'm honestly not sure. Like, Pernicious Deed, obviously, it's such a beating, right? But I do feel like this matchup kind of hinged on the fact that my opponent only flipped 2 non-lands before they found the creature. I feel like if I had been able to get a bigger Terravor and I would have been able to trade with the Treetop as opposed to just like chomping or like having to chomp or whatever, that would have been much better for me because I would have been able to get rid of my opponent's clock. But all right, see you for the last round. All right, last round, and this hand is an all-star. So I think we turn 1 this Sphere. So Mox, pitching Plains, play Forest, play Sphere. Turn 2, we're going to play a port, play the library, sorry. And then starting turn 3, we're going to start to do some nasty stuff. Playing against Lani, by the way, so even if I'm only going to win 2 matches this league, the fact that one of them is against Lani has some extra value. Oh yeah. So here's a library. Treetop Village. Are we playing a mirror here? That would definitely be interesting. We are playing a mirror. Library. There's a Cataclysm. Wasteland. Okay, so I don't want Sphere, but I think I want the other 2. So let's Wasteland and upkeep tap. Tap the plains on his upkeep. Here we don't want, but the other 2 are great. So let's keep those other 2. I am think I'm going to shuffle, play a land, and just shuffle and just port him on upkeep. Oh, whoops, forgot to shuffle. Never mind. Okay, so put that back on top, put this also back on top, and I don't think I wasteland. Like, this is not enough value for a wasteland. So I think I'm just going to pass the turn back. I'm just going to port his land again. This time around, I am going to shuffle though. His own library. Shuffle, get a white. And we're just going to Seal of Cleansing the library. Okay, this is kind of what we were looking for. So Swords to Plowshares on top, library on top. Maybe I should have done the other. No, actually, that's the correct order. Let's go play Brushland, Seal of Cleansing, blow up library, get his green source, Seal of Cleansing. So we know there's library on top because I'm very smart, and we can just do the exact same thing we just did. And now tap his green source. 2 mirrors in this league. Very interesting. I can start attacking with Treetop this coming turn. Trevas, Bouncing Forest. There's a morph. So now I think I just play out my Oath. Another port is nice, so this is going to play out that. And I'm going to play Wasteland, waste the Trevas. This means he can't flip Angel. Play my Oath, and then I'm going to upkeep, tap. This means he's not going to be able to flip his Angel this turn. And then we're going to get an Oath trigger, which is going to hopefully provide a big boy. So this is going to kind of force him to plow his own morph, playing out Secluded Step. Okay, let's see what we flip. Use Oath. We have our own Angel now. Cool. We also flip a Terravor. Nice. So use library. That's cool. Okay, so we're gonna put Terravor on top, then put Brushland on top, and now we can double port. I guess we can just Cataclysm here. 5 mana to Cataclysm, play port. I tap his land on upkeep. I choose to keep Oath of Druids and Mox Diamond. Alternatively, I can swing with this Treetop Village, swing for 3. I kind of like doing that though. So I think we're gonna go Cataclysm, play Cataclysm, and if he plows his own Angel here, keep 1, keep Treetop, keep Mox, keep Oath. I guess I don't want to keep Oath. I want to keep Library instead. Yeah, I actually want to keep Library. So now I'm gonna draw a Terravor this coming turn. So now he can plow my Angel, but I just plow his. We're back to pseudo parity. Play my land, pass the turn. I guess if he does Swords to Plowshares my Angel, I can just let it go. Just take 2. Oh, just doesn't have it. Maybe he's just saving it for his own turn, but like this is just fine, right? So if he plows my Angel now in response to the port tap, that's just fine with me too. Okay, so now we're gonna draw the Terravor. It's not bad either in this context actually, but just going to draw the Terravor and play it out. Swing for 4, play out a 27-27 and ship the turn back. 27-27, not bad. Okay, so I don't want spheres. I do want Angel. I do want Aura. Naturalize, Erase, Argivian Finds, and Furnace. Question is whether I want Oath. I think I only want 2 of them, and maybe like only 2 Cataclysms. Suranor is also a potential interesting card here, but I think everything else is fine. It's between Suranor and like maybe more cutting more Oaths or something along those lines. Game 2. Treetop, Port, Sylvan Library, Ray of Revelation. Yeah, this hand looks pretty good. I'm actually going to go turn 1 Secluded Step because I think that holding Ray of Revelation is going to be more important because I'm on the draw. It's going to be more important to cast Ray of Revelation on turn 2 than it is going to be to cast Library on turn 2. Because my opponent is going to get a first crack. If they do have a turn 2 library, they're going to get a first crack before I do. So I do think that that's going to be more important. I can also just play a Treetop on 2, and that's also fine. I'm so smart. Love to see it. Ray of Revelation. Get out of here, library. He doesn't have a second library, which is great for me. So he ports my port. And now I get to play out my library. Not bad. Not bad. So now we are ahead. He also is a little bit color screwed. Never mind, he's good. He does have Seal of Cleansing. He's going to port my port, but then I can just port his port afterwards. So we're still even-ish. We got the port advantage here. So I think I spent this turn to play out this Treetop Village. Yeah, so let's play out Furnace, play out Treetop, and say go. And exiling their enchantment is actually very relevant because of our Deviant Find, which is kind of one of the best cyber cards in the matchup. It's pretty nice that we have this Ray of Revelation just kind of sitting here, waiting to be used. Okay, it's gonna go for like an aggro move here. Just gonna play a Terravor or something. I could have used that mana to cash in the Phyrexian Furnace, but I don't think I have to. So now he plays Terravor, which means we get to deploy our own Oath. So here's another port, play Oath, and upkeep. I think I'm gonna tap my opponent's port. Actually, let's seal now. Player on Argivian Find. And now we're good here, so I'm just going to tap their port. And now we have the port advantage, Seal of Cleansing. Okay, he does blow up the Oath. And now we get to play another Treetop and we get to play our own Terravor. And I guess I want to exile the Wasteland, because we are kind of not the aggressors right now. So here we can trade Terravors if we want to. Do we? We're ahead on mana. We have better lands than my opponent does. We have a Ray and then we have a Furnace. Do I want to race? Yeah, I think I actually want to race, because I can just keep the Treetop back to block and then... Oh, he does have a Morph. Okay, that's actually a big problem. That is actually quite a big problem. Okay, so... exile your thing, play a land, morph, and I think we swing. He trades? I actually think Angel is better than Terravor right here. I have an active Furnace. This is really interesting to me, because if he takes this trade, then I can just not worry about the white mana anymore. I can tap the Treetop. This is one of those situations where, like, if he does choose to trade, then one of us is wrong. Either he is wrong or I am wrong. So let's just tap the Treetop, because I have 2 Treetops myself, so I don't care about the port, I don't think. So either he is wrong or I am wrong, and I think that trade is very good for me. I have a Furnace. What can he do? He can just cycle, in which case we trade anyway. So I guess this is fine. So cycle, exile my own Windswept Heath. Am I missing something here? I just threw away a Terravor. Oath. Okay, that's... But he knows about the Ray of Revelation, though. Lanny, what are you doing? Lanny, come on. Come on, Lanny. So I can't flip this Angel, so I think I'm just going to just double tap my opponent. So port Treetop. We already have an answer to another thingy, so I'm just gonna tap the Risharan port instead of tapping the other green source. Even if he does have another Oath, I don't care. Kirtar's Desire. That's hilarious. Okay, fetch for a white source. And let's go Terravor into pass back, double port you. And I put the stop on draw step here because he floated the mana. We have another answer to another Oath. Tormod's Crypt. Okay, that's fine. So that trades with 1 Terravor. I personally don't like the Crypt. Another land. Terravor doesn't do anything, so I just play out Seal. And I think we double port? I can swing here. Next turn we're gonna start swinging, but I can just single port the Treetop Village, I guess. And I get to swing for 3 this turn. That puts him down to 15, and that's a 4-turn clock for the Angel. So I guess swinging here actually makes sense. So let's do that. And on upkeep, we're gonna port the Treetop Village. So my opponent cannot... although I guess, yeah, it doesn't matter if he plays out the Terravor, so this is fine. Question now is whether we play around another Oath of Druids. He plays his own Morph. Okay. So I guess we don't play around it. Kirtar's Desire, flip Angel, play land, swing for 4. Now we're going to port the Treetop and the port. Send it back. This coming turn we can swing for 10, which is not half bad. Another Kirtar's Desire. That's annoying. Second, man, these Cataclysms are not looking great. So I'm just going to swing for 6 and port the port. I guess I should have ported the white source, huh? I guess I should have ported the white source. That was an interesting turn right there. Oh, I can block. He doesn't have Threshold. Because even if he plays Oath here, I just win. So this is fine, right? Brushland. Does that do anything? It doesn't allow me to double port, so I guess I'm just gonna do the same thing. And I'm just gonna, like, I mean, he can't actually activate both Treetops, so swing for 6. Okay. Tap you. Take 6. Plow. Okay. Down to 3 we go. Do I play out the Brushland? I don't think I do. I think I just chill. So now Angel can't attack nor block. If he has an Oath, that's a problem. But I get to Cataclysm, and he needs to keep the Kirtar's Desire, funnily enough. This is hilarious. Okay, so let's think about this. So I do 1, 2... I actually want to think this turn through. So we have Cataclysm. He needs to keep the Kirtar's Desire, so the Cataclysm is going to destroy the Oath. And then we get to keep... We have another port, so I can just keep the Treetop Village. So let's just do float mana, float mana. We're going to cast Cataclysm, leaving GG floating. And I keep Treetop Village, and I keep Exalted Angel. blow everything else up. Yeah, he ports the treetop. Smart play. But I just get to now float mana and I deploy the Terravor. This has been a super interesting game. Man, every mirror game that I've played so far has been fantastic. Like super back and forth and a lot of spots to make mistakes. It's gonna keep White Source and Kirtar's Desire, otherwise he just dies. Life total has been remarkably more relevant than I originally gave it credit for. I assumed that life total would not matter at all in these mirrors, and I'm finding that in particular the just like the aggro game plan is kind of relevant. Like it does matter a lot. Keeps Oath? Is that on board? If he keeps Oath. His last card is Swords to Plowshares? Okay. So I actually cannot play out the Terravor since he kept Oath. So I have to assume that his last card is not gonna be Swords to... Oh, I cannot port and play Terravor, so... If his last card is Swords to Plowshares, but then I just kill him with treetop next turn, so this is just fine. Yeah, so I need to not play the Terravor. I'm just gonna play out a port, go to combat, and swing for 4. He does have the plow, and now we're just gonna swing with treetop next turn. So he needs to find... Oh, port. Okay, that's a good one. He has to port my port here, so I can't activate. Wasteland is great. Out of here. That's a good draw. Okay, so we're still in the same spot. And now... Do I go for lethal or play around Swords to Plowshares number 3? I'm not gonna play around Swords number 3. Boom! Got there. All right. Yeah, this matchups are cool. I really enjoy them. Well, this was a lot of fun. This deck is very enjoyable, man. I really like it. I not have the best record, but I'm still really high on this deck. I think it's very powerful. I think that there's still some stuff to tune with this list. I am not super sold on the sideboard as a whole, but I do like the main deck a fair bit. I do like the whole, the whole core of it. Enlightened Tutor is the card that I'm not super high on it. 3 Mox Diamond as opposed to 4 actually felt good. Like, I did like that. I don't think that Mox Diamond is that great of a card, and we did find ourselves less often in a situation where you draw a redundant Mox that doesn't really do anything. So I think that I'm into just playing the 3 copies. As to everything else, I really kind of want to make room for library number 4. Like, the difference between the games where you draw library versus the games where you don't are so drastic. So I think I want to make room for library number 4. I don't know if it's going to be over Enlightened Tutor number 2 or over Seal of Cleansing number 2. I don't know what it's going to be over, but I really want to make room for the 4th copy of library. I think this card is absolutely fantastic and extremely important for the overall performance of the deck. Besides that, I love the mana base. I think that adding the Brushland over the 3rd copy of Basic Forest is where I want to be. I think that having access to more white sources is good, and there was one game where I think it was against the Rock, where I just drew like a bunch of fetchlands. I drew all 4 of my fetches, and I just actually ran out of fetchables. But I don't think that's something that's gonna happen that commonly. So I think I'm okay just giving up a little bit of an edge there. I think it's fine. But yeah, everything else about the deck I love. I'm really high on it. I still think it's really powerful, even though its performance was not particularly good today. But one of those losses was indeed to the mirror, and the other one, I'm very impressed about that Clerics deck. I wonder how often those nut draws with like a bunch of mana and just like going wide over the board with a ton of disruption, like how often those draws happen. Like that's very interesting. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, and that's gonna be it for me today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.